Alright, these are problems using the distributive property to solve for the variable. And there's only one variable in each problem. So in this one, you have to look at this and notice that you can simplify this expression on this side of the equal sign by using the distributive property. So using this distributive property, you're going to multiply 5 times the first number in the parentheses, and that's supposed to be an arrow, and then multiply it by the second number in the parentheses. So what we'll have then is 5x, and then 5, a positive 5 plus the positive 4 is a plus 20. So then you put your plus 20 there. So you've simplified that expression using the distributive property, and as a result, the parentheses are gone. So now you have an equation that looks like all the other equations we've seen. You have 5 times the variable plus a number equals a number. So let's go to the next step where we move numbers without letters. So we're going to move this on this side of the equal sign. And in order to do that, of course, you have to do the opposite. So this is added, that is a positive 20, so you do negative 20. And let's change to black for that. So we're minus 20. We'll do minus 20 on both sides of the equation. Be careful, because you have a minus 20, minus 20. So follow your integer rules. You're going to add, and I'll change color, add the opposite. So this becomes 0, plus 20 minus 20, that becomes 0. Adding the opposite, so you add these numbers and it becomes a negative 40, because you have two negatives added. When you add two negatives, you simply add the numbers and it's still negative. So let's take the parts of our equation here. The equal sign comes down because we're going to rewrite because we've made some changes. We have equal. We subtracted a negative 20, so that becomes a negative 40. And on this side, we subtracted out the 20, got a 0, so all we have is 5x equal to negative 40. So then you're going to divide, because 5 is multiplied times the x, and you want to get that away from the x, leave the x by itself, so you divide 5 on both sides of the equation, like that. And you will have, because 5 over 5 equals 1, and that will be 1 times x, so your answer will be x equals 5 into 40 is 8, and because you have a positive and a negative number, the answer is negative, so x will equal negative 8. We just got that as an answer on the last problem. Okay, and then for number 33, you will work with this expression, simplifying it with the distributive property first. So you're going to, this time, multiply a negative 5 first times the t, and then the negative 5 by a negative 3. I know that says minus 3, but really always keep your math function with your number. That's a weird idea, but you'll get used to it as you continue to watch me and other teachers do it that way. So you have negative 5 times the t, so that's a negative 5t. Negative 5 times a negative 3, this is 15, but here negative times a negative is a positive, so that becomes plus 15. So by simplifying the expression, you no longer have parentheses. And let's bring down the rest of the problem. So we're going to bring the 15 down, bring the 20, and the 10t. So that's a negative. Make sure you keep your negative signs there. negative 15 minus 20 minus 10t. Alright, so this is changed or whittled down to a problem that we've seen before where we have variables on each side of the equal sign. And we have numbers here. Let's leave those alone and let's move this t, 10t. So it's subtracted, so we're going to add it. Let's add the 10t so we can to both sides of the equation, and that's effectively moving it. So let's add the 10t. Remember, you're adding it to, it's like terms, you're adding like terms, so you don't add it here. This of course will end up 0, minus t plus t is 0, and this will be, remember your integer rules, you have a negative 5 and a positive 10, you're adding, so you find the difference, which is 5, and take the sign of the larger number, which is 10, so that's 5t. And you have more of the problem still. You're going to bring down the plus sign, bring down the 15, bring down the equal sign, and before we bring these down, we're going to simplify it. Let me write in what I've done over here. Plus sign. I have a little curve on that t to make a distinction between the plus sign and the t. I'm going to bring down that 15, and there's the equal sign. And before I go ahead and write negative 15 minus 20, I can actually combine those terms. So it's a negative 15 minus a 20, so we add the opposite. So you have two negatives, so you add the numbers, which is 35, and when you add two negatives, you get a negative, so it's negative 35. You have negative 35. This is gone because you had a minus 10t plus a 10t, which becomes 0, so that's no longer down here on our equation. So now we have 5t plus 15 equals negative 35. So let's move the number to be with that number. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides of the equation because it is added here. And that would be 0 here. And that would be careful with this, you're subtracting 15. But you have integers. So follow the rules for integers. You change the subtraction to addition, so you add the opposite. So you're adding, again, 35 and 15 is 50. So you have negative 50. Negative 50. Bring down the equal sign. And this gets a little messy, and it's hard because I can't type. This is gone, and now you're bringing down the 5t. I can't really type all this out. So 5t equals negative 50. So when you have 5t equal to negative 50, let's write it up here. Well, you're going to divide 5 by both sides because it's multiplied by the t, and so you need to do the opposite. Divide 5 by both sides, and that of course cancels. Any number over itself equals 1, so 5 over 5 equals 1, and then 1 times t is the t, so you have then t equals, and then divide this here. 5 into 50 is 10, and you have a positive and a negative, so the answer is negative because you have two different signs. So t for number 33 equals negative 10.